Hi guys, welcome back to another video on the channel. As you can see behind me, standing here at the Cain site today. Unfortunately for some of the players at this football club, they won't be anywhere near the Cain site next season because Newcastle need a massive clear out no matter what. We have a full 25-man squad. There's 3 players not in the 25-man squad. We've still got another player out on loan as well. So no matter what, we need a massive clear out. Our projections for the next few seasons are going to be get higher and higher up the table. And as being brutally honest as possible, with the team we've got, there's players in there that aren't going to do that. And over the next couple of seasons, we'll see pretty much every player in this list will just go out the door because the players that we brought in the championship season, the players that a few years ago were good, but time has passed on by. And that's the best way of putting it. But anyway, guys, as always, if you're new to the channel, make sure to head down there, hit that subscribe button. We are just under 100 away from 24,000. Thank you so much. If you haven't already subscribed, make sure to do so. It keeps you guys updated on all the videos. As well as that, make sure to smash the like button. And question of the day, out of these 10 players, which ones would you keep? Not sell, which ones would you keep? Let me know down in the comments section. I would love to hear your thoughts. But anyway, that's about it really. Without further ado, let's get into it. One thing I always love about recording at the Cain site is that people recognise us to come over. I mean, a guy came over before who actually travelled down from Boston to go to the Arsenal game. Boston, that's wild that. I had a guy in the channel 2 days ago from Saudi Arabia. Now we've got a Boston fan as well. I love these international fans, keep it up. But anyway, let's get a couple of important things out of the way first. We will not sell all 10 of these players in the summer transfer window. We're just not going to do it. One of Eddie Howe's most important points he's made since coming to this football club is that he wants to unite the team together. He wants a good working relationship with everyone. If we were to sell all 10 of these players in the summer transfer window, it could seriously damage the dressing room. It could destroy team morale and it just wouldn't be good in the club at all. I think over 2 seasons, maybe with the exception of one player which I discussed in this video, I think all of these players will be sold for 2 seasons. But for 1 season, I think it's a bit too much. I think 6 to 7 personally will be sold in this summer window, and I think we'll bring about 5 to 6 in. But yeah, there's a heads up there. Not all 10 of these will go, but I don't think any of them really have a future, to be honest. Let's begin off with the goalkeepers. Newcastle currently got 4 in the 25-man squad. Freddie Woodman will return from his loan. I've always said it's between Woodman and Doro that one of them will go in the summer window. And from what I've seen online from all the journalists, it looks like Carl Dorlo is the one that could potentially go in the summer. I do feel bad for Dorlo somewhat because he had a really bad health scare with COVID in the summer. And the few games he played this season, he's just been crap. There's no other way of putting it. Against Chelsea, Brentford, there were 2 massive games. That was when Graham Jones was in charge and Eddie Howe, first match where he had COVID to Jason Tindall had to take over. That was a huge part of the season and he didn't perform in those 2 games. He was dropping bad performances after bad performances and that was it. He had a few matches this season and that's why I can judge him off really. He wasn't good in those games. He was a long-serving player. I think he's good for a championship squad. But would you keep him at the club? I'll be honest, I think we do need another goalkeeper. Yeah, I think I do agree with that one. Moving on to the defenders now. Let's talk about the one that's not in the 25-man squad first. Now, this is also quite an important point to make. He was not present after the Arsenal game when the full club were going around the pitch clapping off all the fans. One of the players that wasn't in the 25-man squad was present, but 2 of them weren't. This is the first one, Kieran Clark. Now, this season has just been a disaster for him, to be honest. Our biggest match of the season against Norwich at that moment in time. Stupid red card, 10 minutes into the game, just completely threw his career out of the window at Newcastle. Then in Saudi Arabia, he tried to punch one of the opposition players. I mean, what do I say about this one? He's just been a bit of a shambles. I can't defend his behaviour at all, to be honest. I remember when Bruno first came to the football club, so Newcastle, the media team had all the players in the dressing room at St James's Park, and Bruno's handshaking everyone. Kieran Clark's just sitting down on his phone like he's been acknowledging our biggest signing potentially ever. He walks over to him, he handshakes him, he's sitting down. It doesn't sound like much, but it's just manners that you don't handshake someone when you're sitting down. When every other players standing up acknowledging Bruno, he's just sitting there just disinterested. Honestly, it's disgusting. What's he doing? That one really frustrated me when I seen it, and it's just little bits like that. And the fact that he wasn't present at the Arsenal game tells me one of 2 things. Either 1, he wasn't invited by the club, or 2, he didn't want to go. It's one of those 2, and either way, it doesn't look good in them. So yes, I think he's going to go no matter what. Another centre-half that's likely to go out the door for Newcastle in the summer transfer window is Federico Fernandez. Now, I think there is a bit more to this one because I never understand why we didn't start him in the first half of the season. I remember Graham Jones came out and he just said that he didn't fit the team, but our 3 centre-halves at the time were Kraft, Clark and Lascelles. I mean, all 3 of them together were just awful centre-halves, so why was Fernandez not playing? I do like Fernandez. I think he's a good player with him, but it just doesn't feel like he has a future at Newcastle. He's just one of them ones just seems to slip on the cracks. I don't know why, but yeah, I'm confident he will be sorted as well. Let's talk about the second player who wasn't present at the Arsenal game, who's not in the 25-man squad. That is Jamal Lewis. He wasn't at that game, and again, I think it does speak volumes that those two were not present after the full-time whistle. I feel bad for Jamal Lewis because before his injury against Liverpool, he was starting to put better performances in. He was just never consistent for Newcastle. In the games he did play in his first season, I didn't like him, to be honest. In his first season, he just wasn't putting those performances he expected in. I mean, this is a guy that nearly signed for Liverpool and he came to us instead. I mean, I just wanted more from him, to be honest. I'm a little bit disappointed with his time at the club. I do feel bad for him, but I also agree that, yeah, he's probably what I would sell, especially with the left backs we're linked with. So a bit gutted about this one, but I think Jamal Lewis will leave in the summer. One player I think nobody really expected to be good, but had a great career at Newcastle, was Mancure. Came as a free signing, and I tell you what, he's been good, really good. But the problem with Mancure now is that we're getting better fullbacks in, and he hasn't got that attacking threat I think Newcastle needs, especially with our fullbacks bombing forward. He's one of them ones that's going to get overshadowed by better players, and I think he might last potentially this summer, but he's just going to be a backup player, someone that's never going to play, and he's getting linked to quite a few clubs at the minute, so he could potentially go in the summer. I do like him, he's definitely a decent player in there, but we just have better left backs now, we have better full backs now. He's quite a diverse player, to be fair, but I mean, what did I say? We're going to get better players in, and he's one of those players that he's good, but he's just not going to be good enough for what we're trying to achieve. Let's talk about one of our long-serving players now, Matt Ritchie. I think he's definitely our most passionate player. I've always said this, by the way, whenever Newcastle lose a game of football, I always feel like Matt Ritchie would be the most gutted about it. He'd be the one that would go home and struggle to sleep. However, though, we need the ability on the football pitch, and I just think he's a championship player. I'm sorry people think I'm harsh there, but he just hasn't got the ability anywhere, whether it's left back, right mid. He's not going to have that firepower to get forward. He hasn't got the pace on him. He's one of those ones where I think he'd be a cracking player for a championship club, but for Newcastle though, we need better players. That's all I can say, really. So sorry if I sound harsh on these players here, but we have to be brutal if we want to get these goals. That's life. I'm sure, man, the same with the PIF, they'll be on this straight away. We have to be brutal. We want to get this football club to where it needs to be. Let's move on to the midfield now. The first one that's just 100% going to be sorted in the summer is Jeff Hendrick. He is still contracted with his football club, believe it or not. He's out on loan to Queen's Park Rangers. I believe he's been on the bench for them, so that just pretty much sums him up. I'm not going to be too harsh on him. He was a free signing, and I'll be honest, he felt like a free signing. He was a backup player at Burnley, and bearing in mind their squad depth is just weak as it is already. So the fact he's a backup player, again, it's not a good sign. He does try, he gives 100% no matter what. He's never really had any issues with the club. He's just not good enough. What do I say? He's not good enough. And he's one of them ones that would be a Championship League 1 player next season or a couple of years' time. Yeah, appreciated Jeff, but just good luck wherever you go. The one player who's missing from the 25-man squad, who was present after the Arsenal game, is Isaac Hayden. Now, this is a really interesting one because the problem with Hayden is he hasn't played under Eddie Howe. He's been injured the full time. And you can argue in Isaac Hayden's case that the likes of Joe Linton, Fraser, Lascelles, Crafts, Shelby, all of these players have improved under Eddie Howe, so why can't Isaac Hayden do that? Now, Isaac Hayden, before his injury against Brighton in the previous season, I like quite a bit, but this season, the matches he played, I just think he's been awful. But then again, you can just argue and say, well, like, so Joe Willock improved as well, why can't Isaac Hayden do that? And I think that's going to save him, to be honest. I think Isaac Hayden actually has a decent chance of staying this season. But one of his problems has always been that he's homesick. He always has these transfer rumours that pop up saying he wants to go back down to London. And it might be the time where he decides to do that. I'm not too sure. I think he's got a decent chance of staying. Do you want Isaac Hayden to stay? I think he has a decent chance, but what does the player want? It's one of those ones, does the player want to stay? I'm not sure. Moving on to the final midfield now, this is still a current ongoing situation. Sean Longstaff, as I'm currently recording this video, he has not signed an extension on his contract, which means that in the summer window his contract runs out. It's been said in the media that he's disappointed with the lack of game time he's been receiving at Newcastle, and I've seen quite a lot of mixed responses about it. Now, I've always said this in all my videos, I respect the player's choice in that. He clearly wants to be a better football player, he wants to play more to be better. However though, he should know that the likes of Bruno Joelinton are just better players than him. I think he does know that, but yeah, Newcastle fan again, like I've said this in the past, yes, the player can improve elsewhere, but you're not going to get a better club than Newcastle. You're a Newcastle fan through and through. You can tell your grandkids, your kids, that you were a part of this project. One important thing about Longstaff though is that Arsenal game he's just played, that was probably his best performance this season. That really could convince Eddie Howe to allow him to play more often, or put some more money in his contract just to try and sweeten the deal for him. So I could see this one eventually getting a contract. I remember Matty Longstaff, he actually let his contract run down, then he signed a new one under Steve Bruce. So this could happen again with Longstaff. But I think he probably will stay, but at this current time his contract will expire. Last but not least, I think a player that pretty much everyone might have forgot about, to be honest, Dwight Gill. I do really like him as a player back in the day. However though, it's 2022. How is he still at this football club? It's just mental. He was classed in the championship season. For the value we paid for him, he did his job. He came in to get us promoted, he did that. However though, it's 5 years later and he's still here. It's just mad. We should have got rid of him and get Jared Bourne from Hull. I've said this every single time. Hull City on that transfer deadline day needed a new striker. Why did we not give them Gill for Bourne? Because Bourne's a class football player and he's shown at West Ham. That one really frustrated me because he could have signed for Newcastle as well. I honestly think he would have came. Yeah, didn't agree with that one at all. That's what I would have done with Gill personally. Now his value's decreased a lot because he hasn't played in years. It's stupid. It's just a stupid move from the club. And yeah, I like Gill quite a bit, but he's not Premier League quality anymore, and he's one that will go in the summer, I think, no matter what, to be honest. But anyway guys, that's all the players there, all 10 of them. As I said before, I think 6 to 7 of them will go, but I think over 2 seasons, potentially all of them, but the exceptions of maybe Hayden or Longstaff will go. So let me know your thoughts down below guys. Take care, thank you all for watching. Now see you on the next one.